Are you ready for another bailout? Well, there was talk this week of bailing out the post office. They're running up massive deficits from what else but union pensions and benefits. It's so bad that they're not sure if they'll get through the year. But my next guest says it's not too late to make things right. Republican Congressman Dennis Ross of Florida is the chairman of the House Subcommittee on the Federal Workforce, Postal Service, and Labor Policy. Welcome to the show, or I guess I should say, Congressman, welcome back.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for having me back.
All right, so can the post office come back? Can they pay this debt down? It's a nightmare.
Well, not the course they're on right now. In fact, unfortunately, the course they're on right now, they're going to be broke by the end of the fiscal year, by September 30th of this year. They're going to exceed their $15 billion borrowing limit that has been imposed on them, and they're not going to be able to make their $5.5 billion pension pre-funding payment in September, and nor make their $1.9 billion contribution to workers' compensation in November. So we've got to make some strong moves between now and then in order to put them on the track to solvency.
All right, I just want to reinforce some of those numbers you just said. $5.4 billion from funding future retiree health benefits. This is the cash trap. Postal Service, the numbers they're facing, $2.5 billion to be paid to the federal government's worker comp insurance. This is all coming up. Deadlines for money that they really can't meet. Are we going to have to bail them out? Is that a likelihood?
You know, we're doing everything we can. In fact, I've got to give the Postmaster General, Patrick Donahoe, a lot of credit, because in my hearing that I chaired earlier this week in my subcommittee, he said we don't want to bail out. They want to be empowered with decisions. And, Jerry, we got to act fast, because decisions need to be made about the funding of their pension. There's got to be unions at the table. There's got to be management at the table. And Congress has to be willing to act. We've got to be willing to empower the Postmaster General to make decisions financially about whether they're going to keep post offices that are non-profitable
open. Empowered to do what? Empowered to do what? They're spending money badly as it is. Do they need more power in the workforce or in the workplace?
Oh, no, we need to empower them to make decisions. For example, 56,000 post offices across this country, some of them are not profitable, but they can't close them under the law just because of profitability. But if we empower the Postmaster General to say you can close post offices because they're not profitable, that's a way of empowering them. But also we've got to bring to the table the union members, because you go into a post office and you see the people at the front counter, there's only two, there's a dozen in the back, they don't cross-train. More importantly, the cost of benefits are well above what other federal employees get contribution-wise. So, you know, we need to make these decisions. And we've got to make them soon.
I understand that 80% of their debt is, you know, what you're describing, these pensions. I think, look, don't we have to ask ourselves the fundamental question, do we need the Postal Service? Look, it's the age of the Internet. We have UPS, we have FedEx, we have a million different services that are private. Why do we need the Postal Service?
For one thing, they do provide a great service. The other thing is that they've got an infrastructure of 150 million homes they go to every day. They already partner with FedEx and UPS and other carriers. And you see, it's not that we need to, because I do not think that the Postal Service should be in competition with private industry on this. I think what they should rather do is be in partnership. Right now, we're contracting out with the Postal Service to take their air mail, their air parcels through FedEx. UPS and FedEx are also having the post office deliver the last mile of some of their packages and some of their priority mail. So you see, they can be a conduit with private industry to be a better service to the consumers.
Well, and yes, Congressman, I hate to interrupt you here, but they're losing a lot of money doing it. I want to give folks, though, your to-do list for the post office, because I know you have some fairly specific ideas about how to make this right. You say reduce pension benefits, upgrade technology, and plan long-term goals. How is that going to fix things?
Well, first of all, we've got to reduce the amount of pre-funding of the contribution for health care and retirement. I think that's a great weight on them. $8.5 billion loss last year, $5.5 billion of that is pre-funding. We need to actuarially revisit that. We need to look at technology. When a person can go into a retail outlet, a pharmacy or a grocery store, and be able to go in there and know that the Postal Service is in there, and go from digital to a hand copy, whether it be buying a greeting card or filling out a legal paper, so that they can do it there digitally and have the post office deliver it, is a great way to do this. And looking at the long term, the systemic changes we have to make are much more important than any alleged bailout that they're seeking right now. We've got to make sure that if they're going to be around, they're around for the long term, and we've got to adapt.
Why don't we start by knocking down the pensions and giving them a 401k so they can contribute themselves to their retirement? That's what people in the private sector have to do.
I couldn't agree more. I think under the federal employee retirement system, a defined contribution plan is what all should participate in. And, you know, they need to all have some skin in the game. But to give you a quick example, an average federal employee will pay $125 a month for a basic health care plan. That's their contribution. But a Postal Service employee will pay $32 a month.
Wow.
So there's a great disparity. There's a subsidy there that we need to equalize.
Wow. Now you just made the argument for not keeping them. Congressman Ross, you got to come back and tell us how it's going. We're watching this with bated breath. Thank you.
We'll keep you posted. Thank you.
And when we come back, could Congress finally be ready to tackle entitlement spending? And why now? We'll hear from one former congressman on the Speaker's newest plan next. Stocks dropping today after another spike in oil prices overshadowed the unemployment report.
What would Donald do? The former